We had over 70 sets for adults this year, and I meticulously went through every single one of them to give them a final ranking for the year. Now, this isn't an official list and are just my thoughts based on the overall design, building techniques, and simply how cool or interesting they are. Some of my rankings from earlier in the year even changed a bit after all the dust has settled, and I did get a chance to build some of these, so I'll throw my thoughts in there as well. Starting with the sets that are under 1,000 pieces, we have a few that caught my eye. What better way to start things off than the original Game Boy from Nintendo? I picked this up on day one, but I haven't had a chance to actually dive into the build yet. Life kinda got in the way, but I've seen plenty of coverage on it. They absolutely nailed the look and feel. It also includes two of the most iconic games on the system, along with animated screens from those games, which really takes you back. I originally ranked this a gold earlier in the year, but honestly, that wasn't enough because this is actually a platinum set. That's right, it gets my highest ranking. It nails the design, includes some interesting features that we would expect, looks great on display, and hits that nostalgia factor perfectly. The smaller Star Wars sets this year aren't really anything too noteworthy. Lots of helmets and mini ships, good stuff for diehard fans, and they're decent. The Star Wars logo that you build yourself would look pretty cool on a shelf, and I think it's worth a look for sure. And same with Marvel, we had a Miles Morales mask show up along with these mini busts of Iron Man and Iron Spider-Man. I didn't think these were that great, and I think they would be cooler if they were full-sized figures, but if you're into the style, then they can display pretty well. And for the rest of the sets under 1,000 pieces, we had a wide variety of releases. The Winter Village collection got a new train this year, but I was a bit let down by it. It did have an interesting little 3D printed train included. I don't know how I really feel about it. It's super fragile, but they're at least trying something new. The LEGO Idea sets were pretty niche with a collection of minerals for display, along with a tribute to the evolution of STEM research. This flying machine is interesting if you're a history buff, and of course we always get a ton of botanicals and some art sets, which can make great gifts and they look good around the house. Otherwise, we had this tribute to a Formula 1 legend, which is cool for what it is, along with some character builds from How to Train Your Dragon, Disney Pixar, and WALL-E. Once again, pretty cool for what they are. We have something for everyone under 1,000 pieces. The Game Boy is no doubt the must-build standout here, and we've got a couple of gold character builds with tons to choose from in the silver and bronze ranges. Okay, moving on to the 1,000 to 2,000 piece range, we start getting into some interesting pop culture stuff, along with some that we've never seen before. Here's another set that I had to pick up on day one and featured it on my channel. We've got Mario from one of the most popular video games ever made, Mario Kart 8. They totally nailed the design, like for real, it looks like it jumped straight out of the game. These character builds are especially fun because you get little mechanics baked into the build, and it's really satisfying to see everything come together by the end. I originally ranked this a gold, and I'm sticking with that. If it included a few more accessories or somehow transformed into the hover mode from the game, it could have pushed even higher, but as it is, this build was still a blast. Okay, check this out. This minifigure vending machine was a nice surprise this year. I mean, it's literally a vending machine that pops out minifigures. Now, I don't think it's the best looking design LEGO has ever done, but I can look past that because of its functionality and charm. The included minifigures may or may not be your thing, but the best part of this set is that you can put your own in there. You could like toss in a bunch of Star Wars ones, if you're willing to give them away at least. I originally gave this a silver, but after thinking about it more, I think it belongs in the gold tier. Even though the design could have been a little bit better, it's such a unique idea and one of those sets you can keep around the house year-round. It's pretty cool. I was really happy to see another retro space set show up in 2025. We got a modern recreation of a set from the late 80s. I don't think this is going to convert anyone into a fan of this theme, but for those of us who grew up with the space sets, they absolutely got the retro look and feel down. The Star Wars AT-ST Walker was a nice addition to the lineup. It had a few too many studs showing for my liking, but it's still a cool display for fans and looks like an interesting build. Gizmo Gizmo was a cool character build that you can pose in a few different ways, and I was impressed with how accurate it was to the movie. If you're a retro Disney fan, this 101 Dalmatians puppy has some nice design techniques baked in and can also be posed in a few different ways, just like Gizmo. Now, I had a chance to build the Sherlock Holmes book Nook and actually thought it was pretty cool. It kinda like has a facade of a modular building sort of vibe to it and had this excellent folding interaction. We also got one for Lord of the Rings, but it unfortunately was a letdown. Its surroundings are bare and like the main villain piece just doesn't have great design to it. It could have been so much cooler, and this one kind of bums me out. And the Wicked sets are here for fans. They're not my thing, but I still appreciate the designs for what they are. And speaking of crazy, these dancing figures are pretty out there. They're not bad for what they are, not for me, but cool for those that like it. For a botanical set, this one isn't very good, to be honest with you. We've definitely had much better. The flower designs are amazing as always, but the vase just underperforms here. This fountain garden has a peaceful setup that you can rearrange, maybe not as interesting as the other sets in this series, but this makes for a relaxing afternoon. I built this historic fountain on the channel earlier this year, and you know what? It was a solid experience. This small little French cafe was something different this year. It's also an easy chill build, kind of like a mini slice of a modular, and something else that you can knock out in an afternoon or gift to someone else. We also got a Shelby Cobra that has an excellent design and worthy of adding to any car collection. Nothing crazy going on with this Ducati motorcycle, but if you're into it, then I'm sure you would enjoy it. I did get a chance to build this Nissan Skyline from Too Fast, Too Furious, and it was fun, but it has a lot of stickers that can be very tedious. You've got to really be a fan of the series to like this one. And the same goes for the Formula 1 cars that we got this year. Now, I'm a huge F1 fan, so I loved them personally and originally gave them a gold, but in hindsight, you know, these fall more into the silver tier range for sure, but definitely be ready for tons of stickers here as well. We finally got a revival of a beloved franchise with The Simpsons this year. That alone made this one feel pretty special. I had a chance to build this for both of my channels, and as a huge Simpsons fan, I loved the experience. It's packed with Simpsons references that really take you back, and having a Simpsons marathon on in the background while building is honestly a great time. The minifigures can be hit or miss depending on your expectations, but all of the included references and jokes make this worth it. So I originally gave this a silver when it was announced, and I gave the build a silver as well, and I stand by that ranking overall. Okay, just when I thought that the Transformer sets couldn't get any cooler than Optimus Prime, LEGO went ahead and topped it with this Soundwave release. I spent a good amount of time with this and already went pretty in-depth on it, but I'll say this is one heck of an experience. The build was well paced the entire way through, and when you're finished, you're left with a fully functional transforming robot. And you know, I originally gave this a gold for both the design and the build, but the more time that I spent with it, the more confident that I am calling this a platinum set. They totally nailed every aspect of it, and it's easily one of the coolest LEGO experiences from the entire year. And with that said, Soundwave leads the pack, followed by some solid designs in the gold tier with Mario Kart, the minifigure vending machine, and Gizmo. Okay, moving on to the 2,000 to 3,000 piece range, we're starting to get some heavy hitters out of the bunch. I was pretty happy to see a new variation of an old variation of the Slave one show up in 2025. And you know, I think they did a really solid job with the overall design, the color scheme, and the features included. It's pretty much what you would expect from a Star Wars ship at this level, and I don't have anything to complain about here. Some fans may not like the minifigures, but I think they're alright, nothing mind-blowing or anything for concern. The gold ranking I originally gave this is gonna stick. We did get a follow-up to the Lord of the Rings line this year, and this one really disappointed me. The Shire was something I was totally looking forward to when I first heard about it, and I think it falls short in the overall design. The trees unfortunately don't look very good, and the whole thing just feels a bit flat. It's probably still fun to build, but expectations were extremely high after Rivendell and Barad-dûr. But with that said, it's not the worst set ever made either. There are some things that I like. The interiors look okay, there is some interactivity included, and at least the minifigures look pretty good in this batch. I suppose it could be a bronze, but I definitely wouldn't put it any higher than that. Now, speaking of old franchises, it was pretty wild that we finally got a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory set this year. I know that some of you out there were really excited about this one. I'm pretty torn about how I feel about it though. I'm very mixed on the overall design. The minifigures look great, they really do, they're awesome. And the boat and some of the individual scenes are definitely cool, but other parts of the build feel a bit bland. I never had a chance to officially rank this one, but I would probably land it in a bronze tier. I could definitely understand how the rank could be higher for diehard fans of the series though. Okay, you pretty much need to be a Twilight fan, which there's a lot of them out there, or love to assemble buildings with a minimalistic architecture to fully enjoy the Cullen House. It does have some cool design aspects, but it's not for me personally. This excavator is massive and has cool features. It's super niche though, but cool for those that are into it. I think the design fell a bit flat on the shuttle carrier aircraft. It's a bit too blocky overall, but still is a neat piece of history. And let me tell you, I'm not really a Fortnite fan, but I do appreciate the design of this mecha team leader. It's so crazy looking, but still kinda interesting. If you're into art pieces, then this Vincent van Gogh Sunflowers build would probably be a treat. I wouldn't say it's as good as the Starry Night one that we had from a few years back, but it is a nice piece of Lego art to have as decor. We also have a bunch of Harry Potter shops here in micro scale form, and I actually like this set quite a bit. But I don't think it's anything beyond a silver tier. And for the retro Disney fans, we've got this awesome Beauty and the Beast castle. It has tons of Easter eggs and looks like an excellent experience to spend a long weekend or even a couple weeks on. Speaking of retro, this huge ship from the Goonies is definitely one that caught my attention. I haven't seen this movie in forever, but the minifigures, they're so cool, and wow, do they take me back. And this is a really cool build. On one side, you've got a full pirate ship, and when you flip it around, it opens up to reveal a ton of scenes from the movie. And the level of interactivity is definitely my favorite part. It's just jam-packed, full of memories. The only thing that holds it back for me is the ship design itself. I feel like it could have been pushed a little further, and it ends up feeling a little basic. And with that being the case, I still have to give it a gold because of all the scenes throughout the cave areas in the back, along with the interactivity and functionality. And I think the minifigures make up for it as well. Okay, moving on, I really wanted to pick up this Black Pearl ship toward the end of the year, and I'm still a little bummed I didn't get a chance to experience it firsthand. I mean, it's a pirate ship, so that immediately had my attention, and it's not 100% accurate, but the design looks clean and premium, and the included characters are instantly recognizable. Lego pirate ships are pretty awesome to begin with, and combined with the slick design here, this one easily earns a gold ranking. Okay, now this was cool. We finally got the first ever DC Comics modular building with this Batman Arkham Asylum set. I did a full build review on this channel, and let me tell you, it was such an excellent experience. There are tons of Easter eggs tucked throughout the build that brought back a lot of memories, and the fact that it's a modular building makes it an absolute blast to put together. The minifigures might be hit or miss for some fans, but I thought they were pretty solid and kept things interesting between bags. I mean, they're not the best ever, but they're alright. I originally ranked the build a silver because of the heavy sticker count. There's around 70 here, so you definitely need some patience. But looking at the whole package, I think this belongs in the gold tier overall. It's combining modular buildings with Batman, and it's a delight from start to finish. I'm really hoping that we get more DC modulars in the future. In this piece count range, the Slave One and Arkham Asylum sit comfortably in gold, while the Shire was the clear disappointment of the group. You know, at this piece count, they start becoming projects, so there's plenty to spend your time on here. There's some good stuff. Alright, we made it to the 3,000 plus piece range, and you would think that we would have the best of the best here, so let's see if that holds true. 2025 kicked things off by bringing us the 20th modular building in the series, and that milestone alone made Tudor Corner feel important right out of the gate. But what we have here is a corner-style building with a design that we don't typically see, and the execution here is top-notch. The color choices and variety throughout really elevated, and even the cast of minifigures helps tell a lot of small stories across the build. I originally gave this a gold, but you know what? I'm gonna bump it up to a platinum. It brings a modern feel to the lineup while still feeling classic, and the design work is one of the best. Okay, even though this Italian Riviera is not a modular building, it can still scratch that itch. The design looks great overall, the colors of the buildings make sense, the terrain and elevation add a lot of visual interest, and honestly, there's not much I would change here. I still feel it belongs in the silver tier right where I originally ranked it. Nothing here is really blowing me away, but it does feel like a relaxing getaway build that would be fun to work on over a week or two. Now, this epic Neuschwanstein castle from the architecture line interested me when I first saw it and is packed with intricate and beautiful details. The overall look is simply stunning, and it feels more like a scale model than a traditional Lego set, kind of like a hobby or a craft project than your casual build. I originally gave this a gold, and that's what it deserves. It's a beautiful display piece that will look amazing on a shelf, but it's also a very meticulous build, so you definitely need to enjoy that kind of experience. Okay, moving on, we don't see steamboats from LEGO very often, and this one has some genuinely impressive design work going on. What I like most is that it stacks up like a modular building. It's got kind of that vibe to it, which makes the build process feel structured and of course satisfying. The colors and overall architecture look great, and this is the kind of display model that will look good no matter where you put it. Even without minifigures included, which is a little unfortunate, I am going to place this in a gold tier. It just has that premium feel to it, looks very enjoyable to assemble, and you can set it up practically anywhere. Okay, now let me tell you, I was excited to see a Hogsmeade Village show up in 2025, but the more I looked at it, the more disappointed I became. The front of the buildings look excellent, and it could easily double as a seasonal display piece, especially around the holidays, and the minifigures also have a decent amount of character, even if they're not the best we've seen from the series. Where it sadly falls apart for me is the interiors. They're shallow, pretty empty, and just lack the life and depth that I would expect from this world. Because of that, it's going to stay in the bronze range for me. You know, I don't rank based on price or value, which is off the mark here, without a doubt, but even without that, the interiors really hold this one back. Moving on, if you ever wanted a full-scale Lego fish tank, well, that finally happened this year. When I covered the best sets of 2025, this definitely missed the mark in there, but looking at it more closely, it's honestly not super terrible. It's just a bizarre release. The sea creatures and habitats look good, there's some impressive functionality built in, and from a pure design standpoint, it looks good. It really does. That said, it's just a weird set to exist, especially at this size, and if value were part of this ranking, that would change things dramatically, but I'm going to keep this in the bronze tier simply for the interactivity that we get here. That saves it. From one crazy thing to another, this is one of the wildest looking sets we got this year, pulled straight from the One Piece series. The front part of the restaurant has some strong design work, including that bizarre fish head dining area on the side, but turning this thing around, you've got multiple floors packed with scenes, and the cast of characters included are incredibly varied and interesting. I gave this a gold earlier in the year, and I'm gonna keep it there. It's very niche, and you pretty much need to like One Piece, but the design is unique and has plenty of interesting elements throughout. It's a cool set. Now check this out. I definitely did not expect to build a massive T-Rex fossil out of LEGO this year, but here we are. The display presence is unmatched by most sets, and there are some really cool nods to the original film along with the minifigs that hit that nostalgic factor. I seriously wasn't expecting this set to be as good as it was. The engineering itself is incredible, it's shockingly sturdy, and the build itself is a blast from start to finish. It has a huge wow factor on display, and it easily earns a platinum. From one cool set to another, we finally got a Star Trek set in 2025, and it's the iconic Starship Enterprise from the Next Generation. Now, by no means is it perfect. It does get most of the look and feel right. Some parts are a little too sharp, which is hard to get away with LEGO, but it's still wild that this thing even exists. The minifigures are also easy to recognize even as a casual fan, and they look solid. The very fact that this can sit on a shelf next to LEGO Star Wars sets is just really cool. The design isn't flawless, but it captures the likeness well enough and would be a lot of fun to build. I think this comfortably earns a gold. And speaking of Star Wars, a lot of fans were hoping for another Death Star in 2025, and we got one, but it was something totally different with this massive Death Star diorama. Ignoring the fact that this is a slice of a Death Star and setting price aside completely, because that's what we're doing in this video, it's actually pretty impressive for what it is. It's essentially a collection of Star Wars dioramas stacked together, recreating tons of iconic scenes from the original movies. The number of references here is kinda nuts, and at 9,000 pieces, it's a massive long-term project. This thing is ridiculously huge when you look at it next to a person, and is definitely meant to live up against a wall. You also need a ton of space for it. There's a lot of minifigures included, and there is a nice variety here. Sure, maybe fans would have liked to see some others, but these are pretty good. You know, I think this is arguably the most controversial set of the year for many reasons, but I'm gonna rank this strictly for what it is. I'm not factoring price or value. I never really have with my rankings since it's perceived so differently by everyone. And I've said before that it missed the mark as an all-around best set of the year, and I still stand by that. It did not meet a lot of fan expectations, but judging this purely as a large-scale Star Wars diorama that you're supposed to put up against the wall, it's still a very compelling LEGO experience. You know what? I've got to give it a gold. I really do. And I know it's not a goal for everyone, and that's totally cool. This is just something we've never had before. It's 9,000 pieces, it's huge. I feel like this is excellent for what it is. But this range has some of the biggest swings of the year. Tudor Corner and the T-Rex fossil definitely sit as platinum standouts to me, with several strong golds right behind them. And if you want to go deeper on any of these, I've got some full build reviews and other adult-focused breakdowns on the channel where I spend a lot more time with the sets that really stood out. But let's see what 2026 brings us, and until then, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.